All right, everybody, welcome back. Now, a couple weeks ago, our island hosted the Contra y Peligro exercise, which tests Guam readiness. It was a combined effort from local law enforcement, military forces, basically everybody on island who is a emergency responder, and it was amazing. We were part of it, at least chronicling it, because of the effort of these two fine ladies and the organizations they represent, Jenna Gamindi and Major Josephine Bloss. Ladies, welcome back.
Hey,
Thanks for having us again.
We told you we were going to have you back on the set and talk about Contra y Peligro. Okay, so Jenna, let's talk about it. Like, exactly what happened and how much of a success was it?
Sure. So Contra y Peligro was really meant to be a 24-hour to 36-hour period exercise. And it occurred on July 12th, and it ended on July 13th, early in the morning at 3:30. And there are a few scenarios that happened throughout the island. I can talk about them briefly, but the first one was at the Marito Mayor's office. They did a staged chemical release, so all of this was, completely safe for everyone that was involved. But they had a scenario where they had people that were affected by a chemical release, and they even had someone had to be medevaced out of there through a helicopter. So a lot of action in Marito early in the morning of the 12th. There was also an incident at South Finnegan. And I know that you were part of it, Jason.
Thank you, by the way.
Great live streaming.
Yeah, but that was really, really fun, amazing, being part of that.
Right. So South Finnegan, they did stage a car explosion, as well as a chemical lab that was inside one of the buildings in South Finnegan. There was also an active shooter scenario at the district court, which apparently went really well, as well as a scenario with GMH where they had simulated bringing in patients and testing their triage and their ER.
Now, Major Bloss, I'm sure you can agree that, one of the reasons, this is a hallmark of the military, but the reasons why you train so intensely and under so much pressure in emergency situations is so that people in your line of work can be at their very best when our island is at its very worst.
Absolutely, Jason. For the CST, we always respond in support of first responders. So when the public calls 911, GFD or GPD will go respond, and then when they deem it's a chemical, biological event, then the CST, the 94 Civil Support Team, will get called out. And this exercise tests their ability to respond. So every 18 months, our CST has to get recertified. So this is just another exercise where we can practice to be perfect. So the more we do it, of course, like you said, the better we're going to get. And, over the last year, we have had several real-world incidents that we've been able to respond to. So absolutely, this kind of exercise is only going to make us better.
Well, Jenna, I got to tell you, from first-hand experience, and while we were streaming it over at the old South Fin former military housing, it was amazing to see the precision with which the SWAT team went in, and even though it was a simulated exercise, I mean, they treated it as if it were a live op. They're absolute professionals, these guys, and we tried to emphasize that in the live stream. We're like, these guys aren't kamikaze. They're not just going to rush into a room and, fill it with hot lead and then get in and get out. They had a very minor briefing and then just went in there, did their job. They were incredibly swift and incredibly efficient.
Right, and even during the after-action reviews, we did an after-action towards the end, sort of a hot wash, and we had that immediately after the exercise on that Friday. And one of the things that GPD SWAT brought up was that they did move very efficiently, and they worked well with what they had. And they had 24 personnel, just at that one scene at South Finnegan, split into those 3 different buildings. So they were very efficient, and it's shown.
It could have been absolute chaos. I mean, those kind of situations, Major Bloss, I'm sure you would agree, like have a tendency to, they can get out of control very, very quickly and escalate into something a lot worse. But, not only the staged incident at South Fin, but down at the federal court with that active shooter scenario, everything went like clockwork, it seemed.
Absolutely, like Jenna said, the more we do it, the more efficient we're gonna become, and we hope it never happens, a real-world event to a large magnitude ever happens on Guam. But if it does, we want to know that our federal, local, and military responders are going to react the way we need them to react to keep the public safe.
All right.
And from the CST, from the Guards' point of view, we want to give shout-outs to GFD, the hazmat team, as well as the SWAT team. They've been working very well with our team, the CST, and we just think the better we get, the more efficient we're going to be, and the safer everybody else is going to be.
Well, Jenna, you said, of course, the purpose of this was to not only train, but to assess. So, like, in hindsight and everything like that, what have the professionals who were actually evaluating and everything like that, what did they have to say?
Well, each agency had a certain amount of objectives that they wanted to meet and train for themselves. So coming through the after-action review, a lot of the reports that we received were some points were stronger than others, and some parts needed 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 to be worked through. So a lot of that was talked through during the after action, but across the board during this exercise for this year, one of the highlights was the great communication between CST and GFD Hazmat and GPD SWAT. The communication that they had was very efficient. And one of the things in emergency preparedness is that you don't want to be exchanging business cards during an actual real emergency. So the purpose of this exercise is not only to train through the different scenarios, but also just to have that open lines of communication, be able to talk through them.
Well, again, it was amazing, and we know again, these types of exercises, like we trained to be ready in case something didn't, go sideways and everything like that. So
right.
We were very, very fortunate that you let us take part in it.
Yes, we're so glad you guys did.
All right. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Please stay tuned, everybody. We are back.